It has been a stellar past year for investment promotion agency InvestKL, which managed to secure 18 billion in committed investments as at the end of 2021. The agency has a goal to double that in the coming decade, but with the global economy in constant flux, will this momentum carry on or grind to a screeching halt? We asked CEO Muhammad Azmi Zulkifli for an update on how InvestKL has been doing the past 2 years, geopolitical concerns, and what industries it intends to target. Let's talk about your targets for 2022, because the first quarter is just about all wrapped up, and you managed to blow through your targets for last year. So do you think this year, because the world is opening up, it's going to be easier or harder to reach the targets you've set for yourself this year?
Last year was indeed a stellar year in terms of our performance. It was our best performance for the first time in 10 years. I must thank the team for their dedication, perseverance, as well as their resilience in going for the right investments to bring into Greater Kuala Lumpur. Going into 2022, the optimism is there, the momentum is there. And this is where we are looking at things, how we can continue to drive forward the right investments into Kuala Lumpur. With the current situation, we know the geopolitical tensions that's happening.
Yes.
The changes in the global tax structure as well that will be affecting large companies.
Yes.
And also areas where there are changing mechanisms of the trade. The supply chain disruptions are still very real. However, putting all this together and the optimism of borders reopening, we are certain that a lot more inquiries as well as opportunities especially will be there for InvestKL, and as well as our focus to bring the right investments into Greater Kuala Lumpur.
How did you manage to pull in so many eyes into Greater KL?
With the borders closure and as well as limited travel opportunities, that does not mean that business stops. Certainly, it's well documented that a lot of people went online and to interact and exchange and also to share ideas. This is where it's important that we will work with the country of origins where our partners are. Continue to deepen the collaboration to ensure that we are sharing the right type of information and to continue to build that relationship. With a relationship that has been built over a physical encounter, moving into a virtual encounter was much easier. However, it will not be the same the other way around too. So those are some of the things that we needed to watch carefully. Between all those things is where InvestKL continues to wanting to carry the message of ideas, thought leadership activities, as well as some opportunities that we can also put on the table. Right. It's not just about chasing investment, it's also looking at how we can closely collaborate with any partners for that matter, and the partner will also gain in terms of their business or their activities around the region. So in that particular context, it's about putting that together and about putting that collaboration forward.
You had 2 initiatives this year. Let's talk about the infrastructure, right? The lab and Fit for Work. Can you explain more as to how this kind of helped move InvestKL's agenda? I mean, what did it do in terms of attracting more people to Greater KL and made your job, it's like your job offering even more holistic?
Our first initiative, the Greater Kuala Lumpur Life Lab, that's part of the 12 Malaysia plan that covers from the year 2021 to 2025. We wanted to see what more can we do with the investors and potential investors, existing as well as new investors. And this is where we wanted to see and deepen the collaboration in R&D, in innovation, as well as transfer of knowledge. Bringing those labs as well as innovation centers is also about building the ecosystem to pursue forward the academia collaboration and to look at how we can bring in small medium enterprises to be part of a small value chain of the investor, and then moving forward to their global value chain, for example.
Right.
So those things are happening really well. The Fit for Work is a program that's designed to target fresh graduates as well as final year students.
Yes.
It's about enhancing their soft skills. It's a 3-week program which will also encapsulate together with an industry week. An industry week where we will line up our multinationals to be speaking to these students. Traditionally, of course, if it's done physically, it would be better. However, for the students, we could see that the dedication that they have put in have also, in a way, landed them jobs with these multinationals. And most importantly, these are jobs as a regional role. So it's something valuable for them to be grabbing the opportunity, and at the same time, we are also happy with the outcome. It's also creating that pipeline of students that can be funneled to these multinational companies.
Malaysia has always been very traditionally in a certain kind of manufacturing. Has this changed? Is the type of companies that InvestKL attracting changed now when you go out and offer greater KL? You know, not just the old industries that you've done before, but are you looking for the new ones? You know, what industries are you looking at now?
As part of the national investment aspirations, we are looking at working not only on the core industries of Malaysia, for example, pharmaceuticals, electrical, electronics, as well as aerospace, but most importantly for InvestKL, and from a global services hub standpoint, we are focused towards the activities. These activities could cut across many industries. An example of our investment in 2021, it cuts across traditional as well as new industries.
Yeah.
And the beauty to that is the activities across all these industries have been the newer type of activities. So from that perspective, we see these opportunities continue to be developed as we move forward. Looking at those opportunities too, this is where we wanted to see there are many things that have happened and moved ahead over this past 2 years. People are talking about metaverse, people are talking about quantum computing, and people are no longer talking about automation, but about autonomous. And this is where we wanted to see how further industries can upgrade themselves, and at the same time, we continue to drive these opportunities and investments in that scale. A traditional industry like oil and gas would need to have certain elements of this technology too.
Yes.
And of course, all the newer industries and newer businesses are certainly at the cutting edge of this technology.
What else will you be adding to help, you know, sell greater KL to MNCs, you know, overseas? And in that vein, what is your target for 2022?
For 2022 specific, we are looking at how we can further advance the activities that we have done over the 2-year period.
Okay.
We would still say, or we would proceed with caution in 2022 from a hybrid standpoint, to assume that we can run and travel, however, at the same time that we can fall back into a hybrid mode as well. We would be working on the funnel of opportunities that we have to continue to enhance our collaboration with our key partners, and at the same time drive the targets that we have been achieved, that we are positioning to do so. By 2030, we are targeting to bring in 35 billion ringgit in new investments. As at December 2021, we are at 18 billion ringgit. So on that average, we are looking at how we can further pursue as well as advance the investment climate and investment strategy, so that we can attract the right type of investments and move forward towards our 2030 goal.
So how will you do that?
Our traditional investment areas of US as well as Europe have been our stronghold in terms of our investment climate as well as opportunities. And we will continue to pursue those investments. On this side of the world of Asia Pacific, we are seeing opportunities from down south and also across traditionally other markets like Japan and even Korea, where we are looking at how we can integrate all these activities and move that forward too. Throughout that part, again, looking at how we can add to the space of sharing thoughts, ideas, as well as being a thought expert, as well as a reference point to multinationals as well as partners. We are talking about collaborating with key stakeholders to produce publications, to not just advance the location, but to also carry high-level ideas about what can be done for Malaysia and in Kuala Lumpur in that perspective. That would probably also be dynamic in that sense, since our target is by 2030. But I would imagine every year we would need to review our position where we are, as the world is so dynamic these days, and looking at how we can also adapt to the situation and the changes that's happening. One simple example is with regards to talent mobility. Before the pandemic, it was not an issue, but nowadays this is something that we needed to see how we can also plan for that, and most importantly, play our part in terms of policy advocacy with the government.